Today, we are celebrating Beth's birthday. Yes, that is right. It's time to celebrate. We're going to dive into what her year has looked like, what she's looking forward to most, and what you can expect from her next. Happy birthday, friend. Let's do this. You're listening to the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast, where we invite you to check your ego at the app, grab a cup of coffee, and get ready to dive into all things real estate marketing, social media, friendship, hardship, love, money mindset, and all the things that celebrate you as a badass boss babe.
We're here to encourage you, show up for you, give you a loving kick in the pants when you need it most, and be your soft place to land on the hardest of days. So pull up a seat at our table and get ready to be inspired and start living your best life by design.
Welcome to the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast. We are so excited you're here.
Okay, girls, let's dive in.
Happy birthday, friend. Woo! We get to celebrate you today, and I am just so dang excited.
It's my birthday month. It's my birthday month.
Oh, yeah. So you have taught me, which I mentioned before, how to celebrate like more than just the day, more than just the week.
You're welcome.
Birthday month.
Pretty fucking awesome, right?
It is pretty awesome. So we encourage you all to do this as well, really. It's super fun. We're going to celebrate you today, and I have some fun questions for you, and I'm so excited to get to spend this time with you.
Yay.
And celebrate another year around the sun.
Turning 52 is kind of crazy, because in my mind that sounds old, but then I'm like, I feel like I'm 35, so I don't know how I became in my early 50s. It's kind of weird.
It's so funny. We talk about this before, but like, we thought what you thought 40s was, what you thought 50s was, like so old.
Yeah.
And now we're like, this feels great.
Yeah.
Like age is pretty cool.
I'm smart. I've got money. I've got resources. I'm like, life's pretty freaking awesome. Right?
Life is good. Life is really good.
It's so much better than when I was 22 and struggling and didn't know my head from my butt. Yeah. Totally different stage of life.
On that note, let's dive into your birthday episode.
Sure.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So I want to start with, I want you to share a couple of your favorite birthday memories, because you've had some really epic birthdays, and I want to hear like some favorite memories and like what they hold for you.
Good question. Well, some of my favorite like childhood memories, I remember when I was turning maybe 12 or 13, I got a Schwinn bike that I wanted. And keep in mind, like, I grew up getting like used bikes. So when my parents got divorced, my dad had like the divorce guilt, and he like built bikes for us. And so I had like this Huffy bike, but it was one that he made. Whereas now as an adult, I can appreciate that. But as a kid, you want store-bought stuff because all the kids have store-bought stuff.
Yeah.
So I hated that like bike, homemade bike. I'm using air quotes right now. So when
she is actually using air quotes.
My stepdad and mom bought me my dream Schwinn 10-speed. And it was sparkly blue, and it had like the blue wrapping on the handlebars. It was a very big splurge for our family. And so then it set the precedent because I'm the oldest. Then everyone's like, well, we want a 10-speed when we turn whatever the age was. I think it was maybe like 12 or 13. I loved that bike. And I lived my best like biking all over the neighborhood. So like that was really special, even though I didn't have a great relationship with that stepdad. I loved that bike. So that was probably one of my favorite childhood memories. But then my grandma always used to make these doll cakes. So my grandmother, Peterson, was a really good she's a really good cook and baker, but she would make the cakes where you'd stick the Barbies in them, and then it was like a round cake that was like this big fluffy skirt on the bottom.
Cool.
And then the top of the Barbie, like where her boobs and everything was all like frosting. She would like pipe frosting rosette things all over it, so it looked like it looked like a big gigantic wedding dress, but she'd always do it in like hot pink or a super fun color or purple. And so I'm like, she's like, what kind of cake do you want for your birthday? I'm like, I want a Barbie cake, like princess cake or whatever we called it. But it was like pre-Disney era, you know, like I was born in the 70s. And so that was.
Now they're like a thing.
There's pictures of those, and I loved those cakes. They were so much fun. And I think my grandmother loved making them for us.
So did you just like clean up the Barbie and then use the Barbie after?
No, you'd usually just throw it away because it was a sticky hot mess. It was like in her hair and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I love that
it was
so much
fun.
Oh, what's another one? Like from adulthood.
From adulthood. My 50th was pretty awesome. My 40th was great. I lived in Puerto Rico and had some girlfriends come down and celebrate with me. So like that was fun just because I lived in a different location. But I would say my 50th because we had this humongous trip planned for the Philippines. And, you know, enter COVID. And that, like, all those plans got squashed. And so we had to cancel that trip. You haven't redone that trip, have you? No, we have not. Okay. So, like, our travel group that we travel with, we celebrate everybody's birthdays. And mine has not gotten rescheduled. But that's okay. It's not like I'm, like, deprived on vacations or anything. But, like, so we were going to go on to, like, a really cool island off of the Philippines. So that was going to be really epic. But it's okay. But then one of my girlfriends that lives in Philly, Julie, conspired with Mark and planned this really freaking awesome surprise birthday party for my 50th. So I had no idea. So I figured that we were going to do something. And it was, I think my birthday was over a weekend. And you know, it's COVID. Everything is a little uncertain. And it was a Friday night. Some of our other friends were going to be out of town. And so they're like, we're just going to swing over and say happy birthday to you before we head out of town. It was the Thursday night. So my in-laws are in town and Mark and I were hanging out downstairs and Mark's like, oh, I'm just going to go open the door. Alyssa's on her way over. And so there, I can hear Mark and Alyssa, air quotes again, coming down the stairs. And all of a sudden around the corner, Julie, my like bestie from Philly, and her husband, John, are walking around the corner, and she's got a bag of limes in one hand and a bottle of tequila in the other. And she's like, I heard we're having a party. And like, there's a video of it. And I literally was like shitting a brick. I'm like, I'm like, my mouth was going, what are you doing here? And it was like so epic. And then that next night we went to dinner and we pulled into the restaurant. Julie's like, well, I'm going to buzz in and like tell them we're here for our reservations. I was driving. So I'm like, sweet, I'll park the car. I get out of the car and all of a sudden I hear, hey girl. And it's my girlfriend Cherie from Dallas. I would recognize her voice anywhere. And then I hear, I'm here too. And it's Jenny, my girlfriend from high school. Oh. And it was like, epic. Like all these people like showed up in the middle of a pandemic to celebrate my birthday, and it was so awesome.
That's really special.
It was really fun.
Good job, Mark, on keeping that a secret.
I know.
Too.
Like I don't even know how everyone pulled that off. I like no clue whatsoever.
Julie's good though too. She's good.
Yeah. She wrangled in Mark and was like, here, you do this. I'm sure she put my in-laws on most of the tasks. But yeah, she's a good delegator and she's good getting all of her worker bees doing what they needed to do. It turned out awesome.
That's amazing.
It was so much fun.
So what has been like a favorite, like do you have a birthday tradition that you do every year?
No.
No? Is there anything you've done every year since you've met Mark?
Not necessarily. I would say no, we don't really have any birthday traditions. In all honesty, like we're not even super great about getting each other birthday gifts. I would say I'm better at it than he is. So a lot of times, like last year for my 51st birthday, he's like, what do you want to do? So like, I don't know. I think we went to dinner with family. And then I said, hey, I want some Golden Goose tennis shoes. He's like, I literally don't even know what you're talking about. And so I'm like, okay, sweet. I'm just going to go to Nordstrom's and then I'll invoice you and you can reimburse me.
His Venmo me.
And he's like, okay. And then I came home with his tennis shoes. He's like, yeah, those are really cool. But then what's super funny is that then he will he'll take the credit, or he'll be like, we'll be somewhere and someone will be like, oh, I love your golden goose. And he'll be like, yeah, like I got him for her birthday.
Of course.
So he's so funny with stuff like that, where he'll be like, oh yeah, that was her birthday gift. I'm like, you didn't even know what this was a week ago. So he's super funny.
So thoughtful.
Yeah.
Really thoughtful.
So now, like, usually, like, we always do something with my family, and my mom doesn't like to give gift cards and cash, even though that's kind of gifts I love, because then I can just go do what I want with it. So we always celebrate with my family. My parents always call first thing. My friend Alyssa.
Isn't that special when your parents, like my mom calls me my birthday too?
Yeah.
It's really special.
Yeah.
My grandma. I love it.
Well, and it's like, you know, like the world's come to an end if you don't get calls from those people.
Right.
You're like, something happened. Maybe the Lord came back and I didn't make it. Like, what? Like, why didn't they call me? Type thing. And then Alyssa, a good friend of mine, will call and usually rap or do some sort of birthday song. Yeah. And so I always look forward to that. And one year I'm like, where's my birthday song? And she's like, ah, shit. And then she like put one together and called. And I'm like, so I always save those because I love those messages.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, so special. Okay, let's move on to food, or like specifically dessert. What do you have, something that you like, a birthday dessert that you have every single year, or that you have to have during your birthday week, month, day?
Probably carrot cake. It's my favorite.
Do you have a
not
place
just like shitty carrot cake? Like, it needs to be like good homemade kind.
Who makes it?
Joan usually.
Okay. Yeah. Jones.
My sister's really good baker.
Yeah.
So yeah, she usually does a really good job of making me an awesome one.
Carrot cake.
Yeah.
What about a beverage?
Well, you know, I like me some good Kimmy Crawford. And FYI, recently Ryan told me that Kimmy is a dude. I'm like, why did I not know this? So, and I said, maybe
Ryan did research.
Maybe
He's
he
like,
doesn't want to be called Kimmy.
Maybe he does.
Maybe. So yeah, Kim Crawford actually is a dude. So I've been calling him Kimmy this whole time. So I love some good wine. But I also love like margaritas, and I'm really into like spicy margaritas now. Oh, spicy. Margaritas with like some jalapenos muddled into it.
Oh, you need to go to Pajarito with me.
I know I haven't had any of those there, but I love that.
Their
restaurant.
jalapeno margarita, or their habanero margarita,
is really good.
So freaking good, and they have all those like fancy syrups that they use or whatever their mixes. Not syrup.
Yeah, I gotta try that.
It's amazing. Yeah, we need to do that.
It sounds delicious.
Ah, yes.
But yeah, you and I have a tradition, like we'll go out for breakfast or coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like I have certain traditions with certain friends, and that's like the stuff that makes like birthday week special.
It is.
Is that it's not just one day. It's like, okay, this day I'm going to have breakfast with her, and like this day the team, I'm going to do this. And, you know, so I don't know. I just think that it drags it out, because sometimes you like hype things up. You hype up a specific day in your mind, and then the day arrives and it's like an epic flop, and you're like, well, that just fucking sucked or blows.
Yep.
That happens all the time in life, and it does not even just a birthday. It can be like anything where
holidays, it's really notorious for being a holiday.
Yes.
But that happens, yeah.
And so if
New
you
Year's
celebrate
Eve
for a whole week, chances are your whole week is not going to suck.
It's going to be pretty good.
There's going to be some highlights in there that might resurrect something that might not be quite as a highlight as you were hoping. But you're like, okay, well, maybe that fell a little flat, but this over here really like turned it all around.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
I love it. And it doesn't put all the pressure on one person, too.
Correct.
Which is probably really helpful.
Correct.
Right? Okay, so you, like I said, have taught me to really like fully celebrate birthdays.
Good, I'm glad.
Like fully, like as in at least the week. And I love this so much about you. But I want you to like share with me, because you've never actually shared this with me. Why do you think celebrating it is so dang important?
I just come from a family that celebrates everything. So I don't know if it's the fact that maybe like we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but my mom, well, let's rephrase that. So we didn't have a lot of money growing up, but my mom always made sure that our birthdays and Christmas in particular were extra special. And so I don't know, she scrimped and saved and just made sure that like she would always get us like one special gift that we really wanted. like we would have this tradition. We couldn't really eat like sugary sweet cereals, but like on your birthday we could go to the grocery store, and for like your birthday breakfast you could have like the sugariest nastiest cereal you wanted. You got to pick where the family was going to go for dinner, and no one could give you shit about it. Like you got to pick. I
like that.
Yeah, so I would pick Red Lobster, and my sisters hated seafood. Yeah, like Red Lobster back in the day was like, ooh, this is fancy.
Yeah.
And Joan would always pick Old Country Buffet because she liked the pudding. Everything else there was gross, but she'd eat like 3 bowls of pudding. So it's so fun that it just got to be like your special day. You got to pick whatever you wanted. And then as we became adults and like all grew out of and moved out of the house, then my mom started celebrating everything. So like we celebrate St. Paddy's Day huge. We're not even Irish.
I love that.
Valentine's, and she would give us all Valentine's gifts. Easter, like everything is a big celebration. So my mom really goes out of her way to make everybody feel super special all the time. She sends all of my cousins' birthday cards. There's like 20 of us.
Wow.
And everybody's
Cheryl, that's amazing.
Yeah, like my youngest cousin is probably early 40s and the oldest one is early 60s. Everybody gets birthday cards every single year. And so everyone's like, Aunt Cheryl's at it again. And now everybody's married, so she'll send them to the spouses. She probably sends them to all their kids, too. That's just like my mom's love language. So that's how I was programmed as a little girl. Both of my grandparents loved to entertain. So it's just how I was raised. And so now it's how I operate my life. And I think everyone should feel special on their birthday. So I try to make everybody's birthdays that are in like my inner circle a big deal. And I program Mark now. 10 years we've been together. I'm like, and he's like, why are you celebrating your birthday week? And then now when his birthday rolls around, he's like, it's my birthday week. And I'm like, oh, I thought you didn't celebrate it that way. And he's like, well, I do now.
Because it's awesome.
So yeah, it's just how I do it. And we love it.
I love it so much. So you mentioned your mom like loving to make it special, and that's kind of where it came from. But your like love of gifting is like hardcore, and it's pretty amazing. So can you just like chat a little bit about that, and like where, like you've mentioned like your mom being where that love came from.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's a big part of you.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know if that's, I don't know. My grandmother was always like that. My grandmother Peterson, I feel like I got a lot of life skills and sort of like, she was extremely religious and didn't say a swear word probably a day in her life. So outside of that and like a really conservative viewpoint on life, I feel like I got a lot of like my entertaining and hostess abilities from her. She just was one of those people that just always made people feel special and feel important. She was like my idol. I loved her so much. But they were pastors. They had this small church in South Minneapolis. And at the end of church, and there was like this foyer in the back where everyone would like mingle and like meet and greet each other and like chit chat. And if there's any like solo single person standing there, she would just say, what are you doing for lunch? Come on over and join us. And like my grandmother could whip together like the most gourmet meal for 10 people out of like nothing.
Wow.
And like there was never a stranger that sat at their dining table. And she would just make everyone feel welcome. And like I remember Christmases and holidays would be like, I'm like, who's that random guy? And they're like, he's just someone that joined our church. He doesn't have family here, so we're his family now.
She sounds really special.
Was like the best.
We've talked about this before and how like our grandmas, like grandparents,
they've shaped so much of how you and I are.
Oh goodness, like we're so lucky that we had that.
And I think so. I like a lot of people. I have so many clients that moved to town. Then I'm like, oh, you don't have any friends? Great. You have a friend now. You have a friend in me. Like, come on over. Let's have dinner at our house. I want to introduce you to my family, and I want to introduce you to my husband. And most of my friends are transplants.
They are, which is really interesting.
And then I just bring them into the fold of my core friends that I've known my whole life. And now everybody's friends. I'm like, why not? Like, the more the merrier. Why can't we have more of goodness and like that sort of thing? So yeah, but like I always like to make people feel special. I buy gifts all throughout the year. That's why like, when we had Glenda Baker on the episode, I was like, she is like my spirit animal. So, I mean, it's all about like, I'll be somewhere, like your earrings. I'm like, I was in Africa and I walked past this shop and then I didn't buy anything. And I'm like, I got to go back there. I'm like, I'm totally getting Christy these earrings because she's going to love them.
I do love them.
Yeah.
So much.
Like I buy stuff all throughout the year, just knowing like if I see something that you would love, or I'm like, oh, I got to get this for Kaya. And Mark thinks I'm a lunatic, but then I have like my special gift thing. And then when your birthday rolls around and I'm not like scrambling for some stupid gift that doesn't feel like you or it doesn't make sense because I've already picked out something that I know that you'll love.
It's like programmed in you.
Yeah.
I love it.
So Cheryl does it. My grandma did it. I love it.
It's like genetic.
Yep.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so this is your birthday week, but I actually feel so good too for being a part of this. Thank you. It's like rubbing off on me. This is
where's
awesome.
the carrot cake, Christy?
I'm sorry.
I know.
We never have the food. What is going on?
We need to like change
probably
this up
because
next year.
we're speaking. And can you imagine if we got carrot cake and stuff like in these
Ryan
mic things?
would lose his
He'd lose his
freaking
shit.
mind.
He would lose
his mind.
Oh. Okay, friend. Well, I love you. And I'm so glad I get to be a part of your birthday week. You deserve the greatest celebration and all the love and all the goodness this week and every other week. So
thank you.
You're welcome. Happy birthday.
Get the wine.
Get the wine and the margaritas.
Give me some Kimmy.
Oh, happy birthday. I love you.
Thank you. I love you too.
So happy birthday to Beth. And until next time, remember to keep your face off a bus bench for her birthday. Do this, please. And keep being the badass boss babe that you are. And celebrate your birthdays. Okay, girls, are you feeling as inspired as we are? We're over here cheering you on because you just finished another episode of the Girl, Get Your Face Off a Bus Bench podcast.
If you want more, head over to girlgetyourfaceoffabusbench.com for show notes and more episodes. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. They mean the world to us and they're what keep us going.
Girl, thanks for being here.